Hey guys, Anthony with the Rag Company, and today we have something extremely exciting. This is going to be the launch of PNS Absolute, and joining me, the one and only Sydney Gwen of PNS to do the launch with me and show you how to use Absolute Rinseless Wash to its fullest capabilities. Sydney, you excited?
So excited. I have waited forever for this.
This is exciting, right? This has been, how long have we been in the making of this?
Oh gosh, probably just over a year. I mean, the concept's been out there for several years, right?
Yeah.
But a year from like when we really put the hammer down and said, let's go. Yeah.
So this is going to be essentially a polymer-based product that is going to be mixed with water that is going to be used to clean things interior to exterior. But the term rinseless means that you don't have to rinse at the end, right? So typically with soaps and detergents and things like that, you have to rinse it. You have to get that product off of there, right? You're going to be faced with staining, and it's just not going to look or feel right. Whereas a true rinseless wash, right, is something that you can wipe on, wet, dry.
Yeah.
No need to rinse.
Right.
So what makes it so awesome? We know what rinseless washes are, but what makes this specific one so awesome?
So for me, I've used a lot of different rinseless washes on the market. And so we gave Dave a big long checklist, right? And you know, it was a tall order. And what I think is so cool about this is he literally, you know, worked ground up. He didn't take something else and try to copy it. It was literally
correct.
Grassroots.
His chemistry.
Yeah, but it's not like anything else on the market, which I think is so cool.
100% true. The chemistry is different. The way it looks, the way it feels is different. But the way it performs checks every single one of those boxes. What do I love about the PNS Rinseless Wash? So first up, the dilution is 256:1, so it's kind of that industry standard. It's what people are already used to, so their muscle memory remains the same. Yeah. Now, other things I like about this is that it can be used on virtually every surface.
Yep.
Exterior, yes. Glass.
Yep. Awesome.
Interior.
Even better.
Even better. Even better. So have you
I love it on everything.
Have you used it in an extractor or steamer?
I have, yes.
Okay.
Yep, both. So it's awesome in an extractor because, you know, the way I use an extractor is I use the carpet system, right? Which is so great. But then I like to use, if the carpet's really dirty, I like to use the extractor kind of as a rinse and vacuum. You know, so we're not soaking anything. So I do use it as the rinse aid.
Well, kind of neutralizes things as well, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. And then in a steamer, it's so good.
Yeah.
So in the steamer, it kind of just kicks up that cleaning power. So when using it in the engines, on the wheels, it's just awesome. Now, one thing to note about the steamer is it does kill the scent, right?
Yeah, I know, which I was hoping it wouldn't, but yeah, I agree. In the time that I've steamed it, in the time that I put it in the extractor, you can still smell things, but in the steamer, I think just because of the heat, you lose a little bit of that scent. There's kind of that whisper. It's kind of like drinking one of those LaCroix sparkling waters where you can go, I think that is what it is. But yeah, it's amazing. So today, we're gonna be showing you a couple techniques on how to use the Absolute Rinseless system here. And so we do have an IK Multi-Pro 2 here. We do have an IK Trigger Sprayer, TR1. We have the Ultra Black Sponge as one of our wash medias, and a chenille mitt as one of our wash medias. And we're gonna be showing you how to do an exterior demonstration with the dilution, mixing of the product, then talking about our thoughts as we're cleaning everything. And then after that, we're gonna be knocking out a little bit of the interior stuff as well, showing you what kind of dilution you would want for interior door panels, especially the dash and glass and so on. So let's do it. All right, guys, so me and Sydney had to trade places because I had to pick up this heavy 4 gallons of water to get up on the table so we can show you how to dilute this. So next to my 4 gallons of water here, which you could also mix up 5 gallons, whatever you'd like to do, right? I have the Absolute products here. So we have the gallon size and we have the 32-ounce size. Now for a beginner, the 32-ounce size probably makes the most sense. And then you have the gallon size here, which is gonna be more for maybe a shop or maybe somebody like a weekend warrior who's doing a ton of washes. Right? Yep. So taking the 32-ounce size here, one thing I wanna show everybody here is gonna be the cap size. So the cap size on the 32 ounce is gonna be different than the gallon. So the thing is, we measure the product, we dilute the product using the caps. So the caps are extremely important, don't go losing those. You can also dilute it with a measuring cup.
Yeah. Sure.
Right? Borrow your wife's flour, measuring cup, shot glass.
Yep.
Ooh, a shot glass sounds pretty good, right? So what we do is just take off the cap and then measure it from there. So for the gallon size, the larger cap here is exactly ½ an ounce. So if I have 4 gallons of water in here, I'm doing 4 capfuls exactly. Whereas the 32-ounce here is going to be slightly less than ½ an ounce. So what we're telling people is a generous serving of that cap full, right?
Yep.
So taking the Absolute Rinseless in the 32 ounce, you want to give the product a shape. The consistency of P&S Absolute is going to be a little bit different than what you're used to.
Yeah, totally different. Yep.
And so it's going to be a little bit what?
It's a little thicker. Yeah.
A little bit thicker, but once you dilute it,
it immediately dissolves in the water.
Yep, exactly. So I like to give it a good shape, get it all mixed up, and then from there, we're going to be taking the cap off, and then, man, it is good. So here we go, generous capful. This is what I'm talking about. I'm going glug, 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 overfills. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then from there, I take the cap, mix it into the water, get the product off the cap, and throw it back on. Then taking my hand here, I'm gonna go ahead and mix it in. And what this is going to do is make sure that the product is diluted perfectly. And so the look of the Rinseless here in the water, it's cloudy, right?
Yeah,
And
you can tell there's something in the water.
and that's the look that you're going for, because it'll obviously change depending on the type of bucket you use, right? Depending on the color. So this would look a lot more blue in a white bucket.
Yep.
So from there, kind of drying off my hand, even though it's going to get wet again, I'm going to take our TR1 trigger sprayer. So for this, at the 256-to-1 dilution, taking my trigger sprayer, I'm going to dunk it into the Rinseless product. And after I do that, I am going to have a ready-to-go exterior spray, interior spray, glass cleaner, and so on.
Yep.
Pretty amazing. And so one thing I do recommend too, you can use this with normal tap water, but if you use this with distilled water, it kind of supercharges the product, and I feel like it holds for even longer its shelf life once it's pre-mixed. Yep. So pretty awesome there. So taking the IK Multi Pro 2, twisting this off, and this is going to be what we're going to be using to pre-spray the exterior of this Denali behind us, which has seen some better days. It's looking a little rough.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about dilutions real quick. So 256-to-1 is the most common dilution.
Yeah.
The other one that I use a lot would be the 128-to-1, which you're gonna use as a clay lube and a quick detailer.
Yeah, yep, exactly. And so, and everything else, I mean, steamer, extractor, 256-to-1, and you call it good. Yep. So taking our mitt here and our UBS, now these are gonna be our two recommended wash medias for the Rinseless. The UBS feels absolutely amazing because Absolute is slicker than many of the other Rinseless washes on the market. It's going to feel a lot better on the surface. The glide is fantastic, it's amazing, and it's gonna be the same thing for the Chanel mitt. Now, if you wanna use something like a cyclone pad or something that's really thick, microfiber-like, just be aware that it's going to be holding a lot of this liquid, right? And you don't need a giant wet moppy mitt going on the surface. You're just gonna wanna wring it out to where it's on that verge of dripping, and then from there you can jump straight into washing after your pre-spray. So we're gonna jump into this right now. We're going to go ahead and start knocking out the exterior and showing you panel by panel on how we would tackle it with the pre-spray and the wiping.
Cool.
All right, guys, we're getting ready to jump into the Rinseless Wash here on the door. So Sydney's got the Multi Pro 2 here, locked and loaded. And so what's the process for this?
Yeah, so this door's pretty dirty. So definitely when there's a lot of soil on the surface, we definitely want to do a pre-spray. So because this isn't gonna have anything that's gonna stain, we can literally start spraying from the top down. And as you can see down here, there's a bunch of road tar, maybe some old tire dressing and things like that. So we're just gonna pre-spray so that the solution starts kind of breaking some of that stuff up.
Okay.
Super easy.
And what I love about this is that during our testing, that over a year of testing, we had to make sure that the product would not cause any water spotting, right? Because that's huge. And when it comes to spraying liquid, especially when you're pre-spraying and doing all of this, you're kind of on a time crunch the second that starts. But what's beautiful is that you're not left with any water spots behind. It's actually, like, I was amazed to find that Dave's creation here was water spotless. And so if you do see a water spot, it's probably just a polymer spot. Go back over there and just wipe it up. But pretty amazing. So in direct sunlight, you can't knock this out, but maybe a panel at a time.
Panel at a time, but it actually does really well in direct sun. So
absolutely.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna hand you this and I'm gonna start washing this panel.
All right, and I'm gonna start knocking out the rear door here and start working this way. So I wanted to ask Sid, what has been the craziest experience using the Rinseless so far? Hopefully crazy in a good way, not crazy in a bad way.
Yeah, so we've obviously tested it in a lot of different situations and scenarios, and I think probably the most shocking was when we were at Monterey Car Week at the Jet Center. And you know, we were using kind of the products that we normally take to the jet center, paint gloss, Epic, but these cars were so dirty because they were on the tarmac and they were covered in like jet blowback, right?
Oh yeah.
And so we switched to using Absolute when we realized that we had some with us. And it was crazy, just how much easier and safer really that it took that much dirt off those cars.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the coolest thing, was just to watch everybody's faces when we switched to Absolute and how much better of a job it was doing for that task.
So what I'm doing here on the door is I'm dunking back into the bucket often, right? I'm using kind of common sense here. If I can feel that any soil or any type of grit or anything like that, I'm going back to release those dirt contaminants. And we do have a grit guard in the bucket, so everything is falling beneath that grit guard there nice and safely. And so one cool thing is that during our testing too, we had to make sure that this product could go head to head with a lot of the other big hitters out there. And we found that there was a ton of soil that was able to be pulled out of the wash medias down below the grit guard, and that's an important thing. Some people want their product to rinse clean, they want their liquid to be clean all the time, and I tell them, I say, guys, if that dirt isn't going down into there, that dirt is still on the surface and you've simply just pushed it around. So it's a good thing to be able to see that dirt that's sunken down to the bottom of the bucket.
Yeah.
Now, I need to catch up with you though and knock this out here. So my door is done, your door is done, and at this point in time, we are ready to start drying.
Yeah.
Now, my recommendation is that if you don't have liquid on the surface for any reason, let's just say you've been working in a hot garage and everything starts drying up, pre-spray that area again if you want to, right? Add some lubrication as a drying aid. It's gonna help, you know, substantially. But one cool thing, one secret trick that we'll cover in a future video is adding a drying aid to this existing product left on the surface to help the drying process even easier. So whether you're using paint gloss or maybe even bead maker, right? There's some pretty exciting things that you can use that work well with the chemistry of Absolute. Yeah. So we're gonna grab a drying towel, get this dried, and we'll have some clean doors. All right, guys, so we just finished up with the exterior of this GMC Denali. Now this thing's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. I don't want the owners to see this video, but I mean, there's a lot of dings, there's a lot of chips, there's a lot of paint transfer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some stuff on here that's pretty crazy, but
Right.
the wildest part about all of that is the fact that we did the Absolute wash on it and the paint feels amazing.
Yep. Looks amazing. I mean, it's got some gloss to it, which is crazy.
Regardless of all the
Yeah.
imperfections. And that's
Right.
where it's like I'm one of those guys where I see stuff like that during the wash, and I'm like, this isn't gonna look good even after it. But
Right.
Come to find out, we dried everything up and it looks awesome. It's
Looks great.
glowing.
Yep.
So P&S Absolute Rinseless Wash, some big takeaways here is that it's going to prevent hard water spotting. It's going to prevent that calcium and magnesium from sticking to the surface, which is fantastic. It has some pretty crazy encapsulation technology, meaning it's going to encapsulate that dirt, preventing it from being able to physically touch the surface, making it a very, very safe wash method.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And it's also going to offer multiple purposes, right? Whether it's exterior washing such as this, clay lubricant, glass cleaner at 256-to-1, interior cleaner at 256-to-1. I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving, and I feel like this one product can replace what? 5 products in a shop?
Yep, totally, especially in a pinch. And it's so great where there's, you know, water issues where you
restrictions
can't.
and all of that.
Yeah, so it's just gonna be great.
Yeah, so Absolute Rinseless Wash, guys, it's a real thing. It took a while for it to come to fruition, but now that it's here, it's absolutely great. It's absolutely perfect. It's absolutely absolute. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's been a fun one. Sydney, thank you so much for bringing this in here, allowing us to wash it. We have some floor cleaning to do with more Absolute.